Legend. Wait for it. Hello, friendos. This is Chain, welcoming you back to Chain of Commander. It is Friday, and it is official. Commander Legends is live. Now, roughly halfway through the spoiler season, I decided to go on record on the Twitterverse and say, I'm not feeling all too inspired by what this set has to offer. And take note of this, because this might be the only time you hear this. I think I was wrong. This set is filled to the brim with brewing potential, and I am super excited to really sink my teeth into what this set has to offer. I'm going to go over today my personal 5 favorite new Legend Commander leader dudes from this set that I am super pumped to start building around. Now, before we get into this, I do ask if you end up enjoying this sort of content, definitely consider hitting that subscribe button below. I'd love to have you folks join us going forward. And if you like it, you like it. Hit the like button to show it. And lastly, if anything I says sparks a deck building spark inside you, definitely use that TCG Player affiliate link below to purchase any cards you might need. It won't cost you a single cent more, but it will help out the channel. That said, let's get into these guys here, because I'm just as excited to talk about them as I am excited to build with them. Now, before we actually get into this, let me preface all this with saying this is just strictly my opinion. This is a personal subjective opinion. Your list might not even include any of these 5, and that's perfectly okay. There is so much in the set that has to offer that I wouldn't be surprised if there is a lot of difference between our lists. But if you do like something that I like on here, or even if you don't, let me know what you're excited about in the comments below. I'd love to start working with you folks. Maybe we could brew up something spicy. But the first one I have, and the reason why I want to go over this one first is because unlike the other 4, this one I really, really like, but I think will be better as maybe as a piece in another deck rather than as a commander on their own. And that is Sakashima of 1,000 Faces. 3 and a blue, legendary creature, human rogue. You may have Sakashima of 1,000 Faces enter as a copy of another creature you control, except it has Sakashima of 1,000 Faces' other abilities. The legend rule doesn't apply to permanents you control, and it has partner, which means you can pair it with any other creature or planeswalker with the partner ability to be your commander. And it's a 3/1. So the single most important line of text you see on here is the legend rule doesn't apply to permanents you control. Now, unfortunately, Commander is a singleton format. So the only way you could take advantage of that particular line of text is clone effects. And honestly, Sakashima screams Clone Wars, the cartoon, the good cartoon, not the movie. And to me, that's what's kind of in my mind telling me, maybe she's not going to be the best commander, because to really, the most important legendary in your deck is most likely going to be your commander. It's the reason why it's your commander. It's the effect that you really want to see. And while Sakashima does have partner, that means that it needs to be paired with commander that you're going to want to duplicate. But not all the commanders in the world are the kind that have partner on it. Like when I think of commanders, I want infinite things, legend rule out the window on. I'm looking at maybe like some of the Omnaths or Reaper King or Purphoros or stuff like that. And obviously they don't have partner, which is why this might get relegated to the 99. But it also really buffs up one of my personal favorite pet cards. You also might remember I have a video dedicated to Rite of Replication. I've included it in 3 of my deck techs now. I love Rite of Replication, and it's just great to me that Sakashima now allows me to Rite of Replicate my Reaper King and allow me to keep all 6 Reaper Kings. That is pretty bonkers. That is why I'm hyped on this card. I'm excited to see what it can do going forward. And if you have some cool lists of it as a commander paired with something else, definitely let me know. I want to see Sakashima being used to their full potential. Now, the next one we have, this is probably the first creature to really get me into almost a Boros mood. Now, Boros is a color pairing I very infrequently play. But this guy almost got me there. That's Rograck, son of Roga. a 0 mana red legendary creature kobold warrior with first strike, menace, trample, partner, and 0/1 power. So 0 power, 1 toughness. To me, this is the de facto new Voltron commander. It has partner, which means you can still get access to white, which is, in my opinion, the strongest Voltron color, through pairings like Bruce Tarl. Or there's even that new guy in this set that can auto-equip things at the beginning of combat for you. Just so many options. I think this is going to be doing so much more commander damage than really any commander up to this point. And we're going to see this guy do some crazy things on his own with his little white buddies really buffing him up here. You know, when I first saw this guy, about halfway through spoiler season, I started brewing with him right away. I paired him with Bruce Tarl, and I was able to, in the magical Christmas land of my mind, develop a turn 2 player elimination kill with the ability to then eliminate the subsequent players on the subsequent turns. That is insane to me. I'm excited to see what this guy can do. I think this guy's going to go super fast. Vroom vroom. Very excited to see where it goes. The next one, I first talked about this card, I think about a week or so ago now, in my dismantling of my Nekuzar deck discussion insight video thing. Go check it out. It was a good discussion. And at the time, I was under the impression it had partner. Turns out it does not have partner. And while that does kind of hurt me deep inside, because I was thinking about pairing it with Vial Smasher, I still think this card is still pretty bonkers. That's Arumi of the Dead Tide, 1 blue-black for a legendary creature, Merfolk Wizard. It has the ability to tap and exile cards from your graveyard equal to the amount of opponents you control, so normally 3. Target creature in your graveyard gains Encore until end of turn. The Encore cost is equal to its mana cost. Now, Encore is a new mechanic that if you pay the Encore cost, you exile the creature from your graveyard, and then you make 1 copy for each opponent you have, so normally 3. Those copies individually need to attack each respective player that combat if able. Now, unlike other effects like this that normally enter them tapped and attacking and exile them at the end of combat, you actually get these guys for the whole turn until the next end step. So if you have something like the new Sphinx of the Second Sun, that's the one that gives you extra untap, upkeep, and draw steps at the beginning of your second main. If you make 3 of them, attack with all 3, and get to keep all 3 through combat, all 3 of them would trigger at the beginning of your next main, so you get 3 untaps, 3 draws, 3 upkeeps, not necessarily in that order. And then you could get just so much incredible value off of it. And that's just with 1 creature. There are so many other creatures that can really benefit you from just having multiple copies out. Naraka Revenant, the one that doubles up your black mana. Having 3 of them out, you suddenly have infinite black mana to work with. Not like black didn't have ways to get infinite black mana to work with before, but now you have even more. So I'm very excited to see what sort of creatures people are popping out of the graveyard with this guy. A really cool Reanimator deck, and I'm excited to see where it kind of goes going forward. Now, the last 2 I have for you. These 2 are ones I actually already have decks brewed for, and I'm very, very liking the feel of being able to go out and get some cards to put them together. So I wouldn't be surprised if I have a couple of these done within the next month or so. The first one, I don't think it's any secret. I love Enchantress builds. I think enchantments are probably my favorite type of permanent in all of Magic. My Tuvasa deck is one of my favorite decks to play. Well, this guy, he takes the Enchantress way and just kind of flips it on its head. And that's, again, Arcanum Weaver. Red, white, and black, so Mardu, for a legendary creature, human wizard, and he has the ability to pay Mardu and tap it, sacrifice an enchantment, return an enchantment from your graveyard onto the battlefield. And he's a 2/3. Now, a lot of the Enchantress way is in green. A lot of the best enchantments are in green. White has a lot of Enchantress support, and we still have access to that. So we still have access to things like Enlightened Tutor, Idyllic Tutor, Smothering Tie, the Academy Rector, Sarah Sanctum, all the very key white enchantment-based cards, but no longer do we have access to the ramp or to the excessive card draw, and the card advantage in this deck comes from being able to extend your graveyard. So it's some weird Reanimator / Enchantress build, and it really makes the deck building about an Enchantress build take a completely different direction than what I'm used to. So the things that I thought about with this guy, I'm looking at two types of enchantments. I'm looking at curses, because you can now curse one player. If the curse on that player no longer becomes effective, you can sacrifice it to grab another curse out of your graveyard and curse another player, and then you could get that other card back and curse another player with another enchantment, and so on and so forth, and just keep cursing the appropriate player with the appropriate curse that matches the need at the time. But the other one I was thinking here are these new court cards from the same set, the Commander Legends set, the ones that introduced the Monarch mechanic. Being in white, you still have access to Sphere of Safety and Ghostly Prison and stuff like that. Or Mardu might be some of the better colors to kind of put up a little bit of a pillow fort to maintain the Monarch position. You also have access to Queen Marchesa, one of the all-time greatest Monarch cards, also in Mardu. So this guy, I'm very excited to kind of build a Reanimator brew of the Enchantress archetype, really having to think in a different way about how card advantage works in this particular deck. And I'm super excited to solve that puzzle and really try this guy out. And the last one I have, this one actually reintroduces an old Magic mechanic. Some of our older Magic friends may be reminiscent of the days where if they did not spend their mana by the time the step or phase ended, they would lose that mana, and it would do damage to them equal to the amount of mana they lost. This was referred to as mana burn. Well, Yurlok of the Scorched Thrash, he brings back mana burn. He's 1 black, red, green, so 1 enchant for a legendary creature via Shino Shaman. He has vigilance, and essentially a player losing unspent mana causes that player to lose that much life. Reintroduces mana burn. And he has the ability 1 and tap. Each player adds black, red, green to their mana pool. He is a symmetrical effect. So this is something I love. I think more effects should be symmetrical in Magic. It prevents these weird overpowering, overburdening things and gives you a puzzle to solve and how to break the symmetry. And this guy, I think, single-handedly, in my mind, has become the single best Hydra tribal commander I have ever seen. Obviously, despite being a Hydra himself, I think he's going to do the best job at it. You know, Hamza, Guardian of Erishin, he was another commander introduced in this set, green and white, that really cared about +1/+1 counters, and I thought would also be a pretty good Hydra commander, but a little bit more color restrictive. I think Yurlok of Scorched Thrash here does a bit better job bringing all the Hydras together in one crew. So this is why I think Hydras are probably the best. You need to break the symmetry of making sure that you don't have any mana left to spend by the time your step or phases end. You need X spells to do that. The great thing about Hydras is you can spend as much mana as you have right into them. Other X spells, Crater Claws, Rolling Thunder, stuff like that. Great things that you can use to spend the mana you have when you have it. You also have access to things like Helix Pinnacle, so even if somehow there is some mana left, just put it into an alternate Wincon, why don't you? You have access to the mana doublers like Heartbeat of Spring, Mana Flare, Dictate of Karametra, and stuff like that. It doubles everybody's mana. So you can now take advantage of this overproduction of mana. It's essentially a kind of a half group slug, half Hydra tribal deck. And I'm super pumped to kind of work on this. I already have a list of 100 together. I need some tuning and stuff like that. But this guy really adds something new that we haven't seen before. And that's kind of what I want to see. I wasn't a big fan of Hull Breacher. I wasn't a big fan of Opposition Agent. I wasn't really a big fan of Jewel Lotus. But these are the cards. These kind of cards right here. This Yurlok, this Gen. These are the cards that introduce something that Magic doesn't have yet and gives me a new problem to solve. So that said, I'm super pumped to really start building with these guys. Obviously, like I said, I already have the 2 decks in the works. I have more to work on the other 3. But now I want to hear from you. I want to hear what you folks think are your favorite commanders from this set and see what you folks have brewed up so far. I love seeing these new decks coming around. I'm very excited to start playing against them online, in person, whenever those events might resume. And it's just, geez. I got to take a deep breath there because I'm getting kind of worked up. Let me know below what you folks are excited for. I thank you very much for joining me today. I'd love it if you stick around. If you haven't subscribed yet, definitely consider doing so. If you have subscribed, thank you very much. You guys don't understand how much I appreciate it. And with all that said, thank you very much for joining me today. I hope you guys have a good weekend. Dairy.